Hi, Joe here. I apologize for the unkempt look. There's explanations for that, but it'd be too long to explain in this vlog. I'd like to talk to you about a question I have on my mind. Is the lockdown causing us a trauma? And the question arises from looking at a video series by the National Institute for the Clinical Application of Behavioral Medicine, an online course on how to target the limbic system to reverse trauma's physiological imprint. What is trauma? Well, trauma is caused by helplessness. And my 2 cents geeky answer is to reverse to my personal psychological hammer, which is Conrad Lawrence, that we have instincts and these are pieces of behavior that must execute from initiation to closure. Every animal has those, humans have them. Actually, presumably we have more than most animals, except they're very tiny bits and we can play with them like Lego pieces. So I guess the question is, what happens when an instinct is interrupted and the body still wants to finish the act but can't? Well, we have at the very core of us, we have the flight and fight reactions. And recently there's been observed a third reaction, which is freeze reaction, that the people at the Institute were discussing is actually a rapid oscillation between fight and flight. In that case, you're oscillating between two behaviors and none of them gets completed. My personal recollection of this is drowning and trying to climb over the water and not being able to stay over the water. So it was this cycle that went on and I could not, I was a kid at the time. All I could do was realize that I would get exhausted and sink under the water. I was trapped in that loop. So that might be an example of trauma. Other examples of trauma, sorry, I have to look at my notes. Other examples of trauma could be, for instance, the bird that's paralyzed by the cat. If you've seen a cat hypnotize a bird, it goes and produces a sound, a specific sound that freezes the bird. Again, between flight and fight. Another example I read recently in the media was this young guy asked by a federal investigator, told by federal investigators, I am not scaring you, but I am scaring you. Again, producing a fight and flight reaction at the same time, and basically possibly trying to produce a freeze reaction in the person. So what does that leave us? So as a youth soccer coach, I was told by the sports psychologist that was training us that the worst punishment we could give a kid was to isolate the kid, to remove him from the practice. That was potentially the most damaging punishment we could give to a kid. Running, push-ups that just build the body, but the other one was destructive. So we had to use it carefully. Not everybody did. The rule was, I give you one warning, there's no consequences. It's just a reminder that there's some rules in this practice. The second warning was actually, you sit on the sideline for 3 minutes and then I'll call you when your 3 minutes are over. And the third the third warning was, you sit on the sideline, I want to see you, and you wait for your parents to pick you up. So in 6 years, Every time I explained this to the kid, there was always one kid getting a warning. Over the 6 years, maybe I had 2 or 3 kids get to the second level. I never had a kid go and wait until their parents came in. Basically, the kids wanted to make sure that I was not a phony and that the threat was actually real. Well, we're having this right now, right? We're having a situation where we are all isolated, and especially the small business owners, because they used to have a lot of people coming to their shops and interacting with a lot of people, and now they're home. They're sometimes working with a reduced staff, a trickle of clients, and they're at the mercy of their local politicians, which are not always well intended. So that is actually a good situation for a trauma. What can you do? What can we do to get rid of trauma or to get over trauma? And that's what I was interested in. And there's various things. One is to complete the action that never was. So if it's an instinct, say you're aggressed by someone, your instinct is to push the person away. Some of the therapists will actually have sessions where the person is asked to push away their opponent. It has to be cognitive. It has to be conscious why you're doing the gesture. It's not enough to punch a pillow or to scream in the sky. You have to actually know what you're doing. At least that's my understanding. Other things we could do is, like the Italians were singing across balconies. I think this is excellent. That brings back the communication, that nullifies the isolation. Just get around and have a physical presence. Physical presence is really important. Why? Because Zoom is to person contact what poetry is to dance, or what opera is to ballet. They're not the same. They're complementary, but they're not the same. So that's that. That's long enough. I'd really love to hear what you have to say on this topic. Take care. Bye.